Hello, welcome back to the Artemis Defense Institute. My name is Stephen Lieberman. I'm one of the co-owners of the Artemis Defense Institute. Now, this video series is on new gun owners and how to buy your first gun. These sub-videos get into very specific detail about certain aspects of the gun purchase. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about gun storage. Now, these videos presuppose that the individual that's thinking about buying a gun does not have a concealed weapons permit. So we're not going to be discussing storage in a vehicle or anything like that. This is just going to be storage in your house. You as a gun buyer, when you purchase a firearm, you're going to have one of two things. You're either going to state that you have a safe at your home. You're going to actually fill out a piece of paper that essentially acknowledges that. Or you're going to get a cable lock that's going to come with your gun. A cable lock is going to go through the magazine well, out of the ejection port, and it's going to reconnect, and it's effectively going to render the firearm inoperable when that lock is present. Most people candidly throw those things away as soon as they get home, but your gun needs to be stored in a manner in which it is reasonable to believe that an unauthorized individual cannot gain access to it. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, I live with my wife or I live with my husband, kids are out of the house, there's no unauthorized individuals inside of our home. And remember, unauthorized individuals could be statutorily unauthorized individuals, like people under 21 years of age. They could be people that you don't realize are unauthorized individuals, like the brother-in-law that never told you that he was arrested for domestic violence 20 years ago, Lautenbergs. Okay. In any event, unauthorized individuals can also be the obvious, right? People that break into the home. So is it reasonable for me to believe that somebody could throw a brick through my window and gain entry into my home? Absolutely. That's totally reasonable. And if I were to just leave my guns on the counter of my kitchen, it would be considered unsafe gun storage if somebody broke into my home and took my guns. In fact, it might actually be considered an attractive nuisance, okay? So I definitely don't recommend guns just lying around. I think you're probably violating state law by doing that. You want to have some method of storing them, and I personally recommend that you buy a safe, okay? Now, a lot of times people will buy smaller, kind of like, the small safes that can go on a shelf or something like that. It's perfectly acceptable, okay? And it's a legitimate method of storage. But you do have to understand that as you buy one gun, you'll end up buying another and another and another. And I can't tell you the number of people who have come to us and said, well, I'm only interested in buying a handgun. I have no interest in buying a shotgun or a rifle. And then a year later, they're telling us about the new shotgun or the new rifle that they just bought. So you guys are ultimately going to own at least one long gun. It's going to happen, so don't fight it. But it would be nice if the safe that you bought is large enough to acquire the long gun as well. And larger safes that have shelves can not only hold handguns, they can also hold long guns. So, it doesn't have to be a UL approved safe or anything like that. It just has to be something that's lockable, that it's reasonable to believe that an unauthorized individual cannot gain access. Now, where are you going to put this safe? To this, we have to talk about your plan. Every family needs to have a plan. In fact, in my opinion, every individual that's in a dwelling needs to have a plan. As a, sort of a hypothetical, if you've decided that you are going to buy this mammoth safe, okay, that you really is going to have to stay in your garage because there's no way that it would ever be able to make its way inside the house, and that's where you're going to keep all of your firearms, well, then those firearms are going to be completely useless to you at 2 o'clock in the morning when somebody's already in your home. So you've got to sort of make the decision, where am I going to most likely need this gun? And I'm going to have to store that gun in that location. Or alternatively, I might have multiple guns throughout the house in multiple locking containers. It just sort of depends on your lifestyle and what you've got. To that end, that's when we start developing a plan. One of the things that I see in a lot of movies, and again, this video is not going to get into the weeds of, force protection or things like that, but One of the things that I see in the movies all the time is the bump in the night, and the guy pulls out the Glock and starts searching his house looking for the bad guy. Don't ever do that, okay? I want you to think about this for a second. In your bedroom, you own the high ground. You know your bedroom better than anyone else that's in that house right now. In fact, most likely, whatever assailant is in your home is there for the very first time, all right? So you already own that high ground. Why would you relinquish that as you go searching for the bad guy who's going to be in a position where he can now ambush you, all right? The reality is that you already establish your safe zone. And effectively, if people want to stay downstairs and steal stuff, let them steal stuff. I mean, that's what, insurance is for. Your gun is for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is the preservation of human life, namely your own and your family, right? If somebody breaches the entrance to that door, then you can go ahead and go to work with that gun. Now, if you have other family members that are living in that home, you may want to have a plan where you'll move to an area where you can protect all of them. So, for instance, we have a house where our master bedroom is at one end, and we've got the kids that would have been at the other end. Now they're gone now, but they were for years over at the far end of the house, which meant that as long as the bad guy was downstairs, us being upstairs, we were completely safe. The minute they tried to come upstairs, that's when our lives would have been put at risk. So if I was going to take up a safe space, it would have been to engage in fire with anyone who's coming up the stairs. I wouldn't have hidden in my bedroom and potentially put my kids at risk. This is some of the planning that you have to go through. And along with that, if I had my gun safe in the family room, you can see how that would be problematic. So in any event, these are some of the things you need to think about. If you have any questions, you can always email me directly at stephen@artemishq.com. And as always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. And above all else, stay safe.